All right, so this is question 9 of the practice test, right? What do we have? It looks like we have an interface and a driver class that seems to be implementing from that interface. So, well, what exactly is an interface, right? An interface is well, it can really just be defined as an abstract class, but then all of its methods are themselves abstract, right? So what's not here explicitly is that there is technically an abstract like keyword here, but it's implied since this is an interface itself, right? So an interface is an abstract class where all of its prototypes are themselves abstract, right? Meaning that whoever inherits from it has to themselves like account for that, right? So I guess in the event, or I guess like in the case of main here, since it's not itself abstract, it has to implement this exact method. It has to implement public void do nothing with no parameters. So let's go ahead and look for that. All right, well, it's right here, right? We have public void do nothing no parameters. So it looks like we fulfilled that contract that the interface kind of set out for us. So let's go ahead to the main method and see what's going on, right? All right, so I have well, I guess we're calling do nothing of 0. Now, before I do that, let's make sure that do nothing with an integer is static. Is it? Yes, it's static. So this line is legal. If it weren't static here, then well, this line wouldn't even run because you didn't make a new main object to call it, right? And I'll actually touch on that in just a second here, right? So let's go to do nothing of 0, or I guess do nothing that takes an int, right? So we're going down here, right? Because this is void do nothing with an integer in the argument, right? So what are we doing? Now notice that this method here is not static. So what do I do to account for that? How do I call that method? Well, what I can do is I can sort of make a temporary main, right? So a temporary main object. And then I can call do nothing using that object. Right. So that's how we get around that. If this isn't static, fine, so be it. I just have to make a temporary main object to actually call that. If I just said do nothing with no parameters and I didn't have this, then that's bad. This code doesn't run, right? But because I declared this, this is a legal line. This is just fine, right? So what are we actually doing within this method? Well, it looks like we're just printing out ABC. So let's go ahead and do that. I have A, B, C. Right, that's what I'm printing. What's the next line telling me to do? It's just telling me to print out X, Y, Z right next to it. Right, so X, Y, Z. Okay, it looks like we're done from this method. Let's go back to who called it. Right, so we're right here. All right, I go to the next line and it turns out that we're done. Right, so this is all we expect to be printed out to the screen because main is now over with. Right, so we were expecting A, B, C, X, Y, Z. And yes, that would be the answer you'd want to choose.